Søren Kierkegaard once said that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. That line alone explains more about attraction than most modern dating advice ever could. Anxiety is not fear. Fear has an object. You fear losing your job. You fear rejection. You fear failure. Anxiety is different. Anxiety appears when something is possible but uncertain, when the future is open, when the outcome is not secured. Now think about attraction in that frame. When people ask, "Why do women chase?" they are usually imagining a simple scenario: a woman running after a man who seems confident or unavailable. But the real mechanism is not behavior, it is psychological tension. Chasing does not begin with affection, it begins with possibility. Kierkegaard believed that human beings are suspended between what is and what could be. And what could be is far more intoxicating than what already is. Desire lives in possibility. The moment something becomes certain, it loses its intensity. This is where most men unknowingly destroy attraction. They try to eliminate uncertainty too quickly. They confess too soon. They overexpress their feelings. They remove all doubt in the name of sincerity. But sincerity without timing collapses tension. And without tension, there is no emotional charge. Dark psychology is not about manipulation. It is about understanding how the human mind reacts to uncertainty. When something feels slightly unstable, slightly unclaimed, slightly out of reach, the mind becomes alert. Alertness leads to focus. Focus leads to emotional investment. Investment leads to pursuit. Kierkegaard wrote about the aesthetic stage of life, the phase where individuals seek intensity, stimulation, emotional highs. Attraction often lives in that stage. It feeds on variation, unpredictability, and psychological movement. If you become emotionally predictable too quickly, you remove movement. If she already knows how you will respond to every message, how available you will be, how devoted you already are, her mind relaxes. Relaxation feels safe. But safety does not create chase. Intensity creates chase. Intensity comes from uncertainty, not chaos, not toxicity, not cruelty, uncertainty. When your emotional availability is controlled, not excessive, something subtle happens. She cannot fully measure her position in your world. She senses connection, but she cannot claim ownership. That gap creates anxiety. And anxiety, as Kierkegaard said, is the dizziness of freedom. Freedom to gain you, freedom to lose you, freedom to step forward. That dizziness becomes magnetic. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The one who cares more often chases more. If you are constantly checking your phone, waiting for replies, analyzing tone shifts, wondering if she is losing interest, you are already invested beyond balance. Investment without reciprocity creates imbalance, and imbalance defines who chases whom. Kierkegaard believed that humans are drawn toward what expands their inner world. A person who has depth, who does not reveal everything at once, who holds emotional discipline, creates psychological space. Space is powerful. When you fill every silence with reassurance, every pause with explanation, you remove space. Without space, imagination dies. Imagination fuels attachment. If she has nothing to imagine about you, nothing to wonder about, nothing to decode, emotional stimulation fades. Mystery is not about lying. It is about layers. Kierkegaard suggested that true seduction lies in controlled revelation. If you reveal yourself gradually, piece by piece, your presence feels unfolding rather than exposed. An unfolding story keeps attention. A finished story closes interest. Most men present themselves as finished books within the first week. Their fears, their devotion, their full availability, their emotional dependency. There is no future discovery left, and without discovery, there is no chase. Dark psychology recognizes that the one who is less emotionally attached controls the rhythm, not because they manipulate, but because they are not afraid of silence. Fear of silence creates overreaction. Overreaction signals need. Need lowers perceived value. Kierkegaard wrote about despair as losing oneself in another person. When you build your emotional state around someone else's validation, you shrink your identity. Shrinking reduces attraction. Expansion increases it. If your life is full, disciplined routines, physical self-improvement, intellectual growth, financial ambition, social strength, you radiate independence. Independence is rare. Rare things are chased. When a woman senses that your life does not revolve around her, but she is welcome within it, something powerful shifts. She steps forward, because now she feels she must earn emotional position, and earning creates investment. Investment creates attachment. Attachment fuels pursuit. Another psychological mechanism Kierkegaard hinted at is contrast. If you are always warm, always validating, always agreeable, you create emotional monotony. Monotony breeds boredom. But if warmth is balanced with boundaries, humor balanced with seriousness, availability balanced with independence, you create variation. Variation stimulates the mind. Stimulation sustains desire. Desire leads to chase. Predictability comforts. Unpredictability captivates. Not erratic behavior, not mood swings. Controlled unpredictability, meaning your time is not automatically granted. Your attention is not instantly given. Your emotional energy is not unlimited. When she feels slight uncertainty about where she stands, she thinks more. The one who thinks more invests more. The one who invests more chases more. This is not cruelty. It is calibration. Kierkegaard believed that longing is more powerful than possession. When something is fully possessed, it becomes ordinary. When something remains partially unattained, it remains powerful. If she feels she has completely secured you emotionally, longing disappears. If she feels she is still earning depth, longing grows. Longing turns into pursuit. But this dynamic only works when it is authentic. If you pretend to be detached while internally desperate, your micro-behaviors reveal insecurity. Real detachment comes from internal stability. If you are willing to lose her rather than lose yourself, you become powerful. And power attracts, not dominance over her, mastery over yourself. That is the foundation of why women chase, not because of tricks, because of tension. Kierkegaard once wrote that the crowd is untruth. Most men behave the same in early attraction. They over-text, over-validate, over-pursue. They try to secure commitment before mystery has matured. Standing out does not require arrogance. It requires restraint. Restraint is rare, and rarity commands attention. Dark psychology teaches that perceived value increases when access is selective. If you respond instantly every time, you train predictability. If you maintain rhythm without urgency, you create anticipation. Anticipation intensifies emotional focus. Focus deepens attachment. Attachment drives pursuit. Silence is not weakness. Silence is space. Space forces imagination. Imagination magnifies emotion. If she wonders why you are not reacting strongly, why you are not over-chasing, why you remain composed, her mind works harder. The one whose mind works harder feels more. Another brutal truth: emotional overexposure reduces mystique. When you immediately express deep devotion, constant reassurance, unconditional availability, you remove emotional risk. Risk creates thrill. Thrill sustains attraction. Kierkegaard believed that growth happens through tension. Romantic tension is no different. Too much certainty suffocates it. Too much distance kills it. Balanced uncertainty keeps it alive. Women chase when they sense value combined with potential loss. Loss is powerful. Fear of losing something valuable activates urgency. Urgency activates effort. Effort becomes chase. If she feels you cannot walk away, she relaxes. If she senses you could walk away, calmly, without drama, she becomes alert. Alertness increases emotional presence. Presence increases attachment. Attachment increases pursuit. This is why the willingness to walk away is powerful. Not threatening, not manipulative, genuine. If your standards are clear and you do not tolerate disrespect, you project strength. Strength is magnetic. If your emotional state does not collapse when she tests boundaries, you project resilience. Resilience is attractive. Women chase men who remain stable under pressure. If her delayed reply changes your mood, you give away power. If her inconsistency triggers panic, you signal fragility. But if you remain steady, focused on your own path, emotionally centered, you become unshakable. Unshakable presence commands respect. Respect intensifies attraction. Attraction mixed with respect becomes pursuit. Kierkegaard emphasized individuality. If you abandon your routines, friends, passions, and goals for someone new, you dissolve identity. Without identity, there is no mystery. Without mystery, there is no depth. Depth creates intrigue. Intrigue fuels chase. The darkest psychological insight is this: the one who fears loss the least holds the most influence. Fear creates overcompensation. Overcompensation creates chasing. Detachment creates calm. Calm creates curiosity. Curiosity creates movement toward you. When you stop seeking to be chosen and start choosing yourself, everything shifts. When you stop overanalyzing responses and focus on your own expansion, you radiate abundance. Abundance signals value. Value attracts effort. Effort becomes chase. Women chase not because of manipulation. They chase because of emotional gravity. Gravity comes from grounded identity, from controlled reactions, from balanced uncertainty, from inner direction. Kierkegaard believed the highest form of existence is becoming a self not dependent on applause, a self not shaken by silence, a self not desperate for confirmation. When you embody that level of self-mastery, attraction becomes a byproduct. Because in a world filled with emotional overexposure and insecurity, the calm, disciplined, slightly unpredictable man stands out. He is not loud, he is not begging, he is not chasing, he is simply centered, and centered energy pulls. That is why women chase, not because they are programmed to, not because of tricks, but because the human mind is drawn toward depth, strength, and controlled uncertainty. The real question was never why they chase. The real question is whether you are willing to build the internal foundation that makes chasing inevitable. Because when you become psychologically grounded, emotionally rare, and unafraid of loss, you stop running after attention, and attention begins running toward you.